baby, just before the break of day. Well, I'm gonna leave you down there before the break of day. When you hear that door slam on my well, you know I'm gonna stay. Well, I'm gonna leave you, baby. Well, if I have to pepper my shoe, I'm gonna leave you down there. If I have to pepper my shoe. You got a grip like kudzu, woman. I just can't cut you loose. No. It's hard me to stand out, baby. When I try leaving, you back then, well, you taught me to stay now, baby. When I tried to leave you back then, you went back to Bill House and for I could count to 10. Sure enough, you did. Gonna head back home now, baby. Back to the western coast. I'm heading home, baby, to the western coast. I spent too long now with my Lord, tied to a whipping post. Yeah. Look out, baby. Thank you very much. Great to be back here at the showroom. Ugh, there we go. Oh man, it was crazy. I played last night with my band up on Quadra Island at the Harriet Bay Inn. Love it there. They got ghosts and stuff, but it's just fun. It's fun. We rocked hard, and it's been a busy year for me. I've been traveling around a lot, so it's kind of nice to be, a tourist on your own island. And decided to take the old island highway. And man, I like every 15 minutes I was pulling over and taking photos, and just kind of enjoying myself. So after a while I realized it's 5 o'clock and I'm in Parksville. I got a gig tonight. I better get on it, man. So anywho, so usually when I have a show like this at the showroom, that I show up, 3 or 4 hours early, very meticulous, get set up for the sound check and have my special clothes and everything. And no, didn't show up. But luckily, I dressed up as Fred J. Eaglesmith today. So these are just actually my civilian clothes. Yeah, but no, what a lovely day, and just nice to be back on the island. Not that I don't enjoy traveling. Now, one good thing about Longevity John's place is this is the kind of mug you can have for your beverage. Now, this is just part of a series he showed me. There's actually 4 different stages, and she gets Into Her Cup. So the last one, she's... thank you, John. I'm stealing this, by the way. I can't just... No, I'm joking. I'll steal all 4 of them. Anyway, yeah, I played with the band last night, but tonight's just acoustic. And the show I play with my band is just a whole heck of a lot of a different thing than what I'm doing here tonight. But there's 1 or 2 songs that we share in the set list, and this is one of them. It's an old Elmore James number that I recorded for my Juno Losing Soul Bender album. And this one is called Please Find My Baby. Home. Lord, she won't be back no more. Yes, my baby's gone home. Lord, she won't be back no more. She left me soon this morning, soon as I left from home. Well, I don't want me no woman who wanna stay drunk all the time. No, I don't want me no woman who wanna stay drunk all the time. Lord, she be a dirty mistreater, and she won't pay me no mind. And see my cool guys over there. Lord, is she not in the Philippines nowadays? She be in Ethiopia somewhere. Yes, I believe my baby's gone. She left me soon this morning, soon as I left from home. Woo, it's right. Thank you very much. Oh, man. Yes. Yeah, it was a crazy year this year. Managed to get down to Nashville, actually, a couple of weeks ago. I was doing some touring out in Ontario, and I was supposed to go to the Western Canadian Music Awards in Regina, and I was up for an award then, but they decided to not give out the Blues Award at the award show. Even though I had arrangements to go there for the Thursday night. Oh, we're just going to kind of hand it out during the weekend, they said. I'm like, yeah, so I'm just going to hang out in Regina for 4 days? Maybe going to win an award, I don't know. But so yeah, I had 4 days or 5 days off. Went down to Nashville, but it was pretty cool because I sent out some emails just to see who's playing down there. And Tom Wilson, a friend of the showroom, Tom Wilson was going to be playing at the legendary Bluebird Cafe. So I went down there to go see Tommy, and he had Colin Linden sitting in. And Colin Linden had suggested to Lucinda Williams, maybe she should come down for the gig. So I'm sitting there, with my little glass of wine, watching Tommy, and all of a sudden Lucinda Williams sits down. I went, cool. We went out, we had some beverages, and that was one night in Nashville. But when I was in Nashville, I kept thinking about Memphis. And I wanted to get down there. Just didn't quite have time. But here's the title track off an album I did, 15 years ago or something, that sold well under 1 million copies for me. And this one's called Halfway to Memphis. I didn't even get halfway this time. Well, now Daddy don't like you when Mama just pretends. If you can't treat 'em like family, at least treat 'em like a friend. You told out of Louisiana when you was just 17. Well, she was just 17, know what I mean. I didn't know any better, didn't know any worse. But I just hoped I could be next, 'cause I knew I wasn't first. I can't help it if you love me, babe. It's not for me to choose. But I said, baby, lay off of my blue suede shoes. Ooh, it's high time I left you, baby. I think that I should. Well, I'd be halfway to Memphis now, if I could. Yes, be careful what you wish for, I heard somebody say. I just wish I knew why the hell he treat me this way. Look just like an angel, baby, lying on my bed. But I don't even think the devil would repeat just what you said. Ooh, it's high time I left you, baby. I think that I should. Well, I'd be halfway to Memphis now, if I could. Yes, I would, baby. Well, now T stands for Texas, baby. T's for Tennessee. Yes, and T stands for trouble, woman. That's what you want of me. I ain't thinking about my future, I ain't thinking about my past. I'm just thinking about leaving, Lord, I think I'll do it fast. Ooh, it's high time I left you, baby, I think that I should. Well, I'd be halfway to Memphis now, if I could. Yes, I would, baby. No, don't you think I'd do it, child? Hey, yeah. Ooh, I'll be gone, baby. Yes, if I could. Why, thank you. When I first wrote that song, it was actually called Halfway to Yubo. Been there, done that. Yeah, so I was down in Tennessee. It was pretty cool. And a buddy of mine from Nanaimo had moved down to Shelbyville, Tennessee. So I was going to Nashville, and he invited me to hang out. And he lives near Lynchburg, Tennessee, where they make the Jack Daniels. I went, ooh, that sounds funny. He says, yeah. I said, but Lynchburg is a dry county. So you can go and have a tour, but you can't have a drink. What? So we went to Lynchburg, and I ended up, I'm like, what am I going to do here? I can't drink. But I got my grandma one of those spoons. She collects the spoons. You know those spoons that you see on the wall in the birch? Yeah. And actually, she lives here in Duncan. I presented the spoon to her the other day, and I was so proud. And except when I'm walking up to where she lives, I noticed that it says "Made in Canada." What is this? Some kind of Trump spoon? But then I found out. No, my good buddy Ken Ham told me years ago about a Tennessee whiskey. He says, no, don't drink Jack Daniels. There's a whiskey called George Dickel. So I've still got the wristband here. I'm never taking it off. Because when I was going up to my buddy's place by Shelbyville, we went to, I sat in with this band at a place called Tullahoma, Tennessee. And right by Tullahoma, there was a sign that said, 30 miles that away, the George Dickel Distillery. Not a dry county. Wonderful, wonderful place. Magic, really. And I actually sent Ken Ham a postcard from there because it's its own little entity there at, I think it's Cawthorn Hollow. Yeah. And as Ken Ham would say, hello, Dave, hello. But yeah, it was Tennessee, man. It was cool, I saw. Excuse me, something. I'm actually considering going back there in January if I can, just set up some writing appointments because it was such a good time down there. And it's not just country down there either. I mean, there's so many rock and roll things happening and blues stuff happening. And in fact, the first night I got there, I was going to go to this blues jam, and I was all excited, except that Air Canada forgot to let me have my guitar when I landed in Nashville. So I went guitarless down to this blues jam. But when I walked into this jam, I look and there's this guy, Gene Taylor, piano player. And Gene Taylor is like this cool dude. I first met him, I think he was playing with Doug Somm and Amos Garrett. And he sat in with my band and me over in Holland a couple of years ago. So it was kind of cool. Gene did his thing, but then he's sitting down, and this guy walks in. He looks like maybe Charlie Daniels' grandpa or something, and sat down with Gene. I knew it must be a heavy dude, so I came over and said, "Gene, who's this?" It was this guy, Bob Moore, and bass player. So he was like the first call bass player in the 50s and 60s in Nashville for all the sessions, and it would actually be easier to tell you what recordings he didn't play on in the 50s and 60s and the ones he did play on. And it was just, that's the neat thing about a town like that. It's just, there's all these dudes just hanging out. And doodads. Anyways, I'll play some blues for you here. Well, now tell me, baby, what in the world can be wrong? Well, I said, tell me, baby, what in the world can be wrong? Well, I woke up this morning feeling all I had was gone. Had mama all night long, great big troubles at my door. Had mama all night long, great big troubles at my door. Yes, by the noise my pretty mama's making, don't want me here no more. Lord knows I should forget it, baby. Oh, and let my troubles pass. Lord knows I should forget it, baby. Oh, and let my troubles pass. Boys, I wonder sometimes how long my trouble's gonna last. Sure enough, I do. Now, goodbye, baby. Goodbye, baby, I've got to go. Goodbye, baby. Goodbye, baby, I've got to go. Well, I can't be hanging around here with this trouble no more. Trouble is knocking. Ooh, baby, trouble is knocking. Trouble is knocking. Oh, baby, trouble is knocking. Trouble is knocking. Can't be worth this trouble no more. Why, thanks. I miss the Glass Castle. I miss the Glass Castle. It was world famous. I miss the Glass Castle. I also miss Aztec mini golf. How many people remember that one? Anyone? Yeah, okay. That guy. Yeah. And that go-kart track too, like when you're heading down just before Mill Bay in the yard there. Every once in a while I just want to pull my car over and just do some donuts in there. You think they get mad? I don't know. You know, there's another glass castle up by Christina Lake. Copycats. Okay. Music. Yeah, so with all the travel I do, which is necessary in this business, I mean, even the Rolling Stones still have to tour. You know, there's always the things, you know, there's typical things, but, you know, it's gotten better over the years, you know, traveling, because you can just, anywhere you go, it's just, things are simple now. You can rent a car, you can, you know, there's along the McQuaid everywhere in Canada now, and it's great. But the big thing is, you know, it's that windshield time. You got to kill that windshield time, especially touring in Canada, man. Ooh, big drives, you know, big drives. That's why when I tour in Europe, the European agents, they love the Canadian bands, because they'll go, well, the second gig, you know, it's a 7-hour drive. We're like, oh, cool. Is there a gig that night too, or you know? But the European bands, they don't understand that Canadian bands 7-hour drive. Yeah, no problem, dude. But yeah, so the big thing is killing that windshield time. So, you know, most rental cars these days actually have satellite radio hooked up, or you've got your iPhones. You can, you know, I like to download my podcasts. I was doing that today, coming down from Quadra Island and that, listen to my podcasts. But the neat thing about satellite radio, I mean, even a fellow like me, I get some pretty good airplay on there, because they've got their blues channels, their folk channels, and their rock channels, and everything else. And not only is it entertaining, but also it's you can get turned on to music that you might never have heard, you know, because nowadays, like, commercial radio is pretty stinky, you know. Everything's run by, you know, like a bunch of these stations are just owned by one corporate entity, and they're dictated a song list. So, you know, you kind of lose the local feel, you know. In the old days, you'd have like local artists who get played, and you have local hits and regional hits. But the nice thing about satellite radio is you can actually hear stuff you might not normally hear. So I got hip to a singer-songwriter a while ago in my travels that I just think is fantastic, and I recorded one of his songs. I'll play it for you right now. It's on my Bare Bones album. If you ever get a chance to check this guy out, he's amazing. His name is Bob Dylan. I think he like won a Nobel Prize or something recently. But anyways, here's a Dylan tune that I did on my Bare Bones album. This one's called Shooting Star. I saw a shooting star tonight, and I thought of you. You were trying to break into a world I never knew. New string. Well, I wonder sometime if you ever made it through. I saw a shooting star tonight, and I thought of you. I saw a shooting star tonight, and I thought of me. Was I still the same and never became the one you wanted me to be? Did I miss the mark, overstep the line that only you could see? I saw a shooting star tonight, and I thought of me. Listen to the engine, listen to the bell, the last spy truck from hell. All the people of the world are praying. Last temptation, last account, last time you hear the sermon on the mount, the last radio is playing. I saw a shooting star tonight slip away. The last fire truck from hell. All the people of the world are praying. Last temptation, last account, last time you hear the sermon on the mount, the last radio is playing. I saw a shooting star tonight slip away. That's alright, 'cause tomorrow will be another day. Well, it's too late for me to say the things that you needed to hear me say. I saw a shooting star tonight slip away. Thank you, despite that new string doesn't like me. Oh, well. It was a funny time, actually, down when I was in Tennessee, because my buddy Scott, you know, he's a Canadian, and he met a gal who lives down there and decided to move down to Tennessee, to Shelbyville. But she's Dominican. So they're in this little, you know, it's almost like a King of the Hill neighborhood. And, you know, they've all got their flags. They love their flags down there. And his one neighbor's got, you know, the American flag. He's even got a Confederate flag. And Scott kind of looked at that and thought, So Scott, he said, you like your flags, eh, neighbor? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you got to be proud of where you're from. You got to be proud about what you are. And he goes, yeah, you're right, man. You know, I think I'm going to put up a Canadian flag and a Dominican flag for my wife. What do you think about that? The neighbor just looks at him and goes, well, as long as you got an American flag up above that, that should be cool, Scott. Wowie zowie. I think Georgia was handing out the propaganda tonight when you showed up. It's true. I've been nominated for 3 different Maple Blues Awards this year, and it's kind of cool. Yeah, thank you. It's, you know, it's been a good year. The latest album, Vicksburg Call, has done really well for us. You know, it was up for Juno this year and Western Canadian Music Award, and it keeps rolling, which is nice. And it's good about the Maple Blues Awards because I just want to see the West Coast, you know, Western Canada represented more there, because for the first number of years, you know, it's supposed to be a Canadian Blues Awards, but it was very, very Ontario-centric. Believe it or not. But they've really, you know, they've done their best to, you know, try to make it nationwide. So Yeah, if you get a chance to vote, I would really appreciate that. That would be fantastic. But the cool thing is every second year they do what's like kind of they call it the Blues Summit. So it's like a blues convention. So I'll be heading out there in January for the awards and also just to be there and schmooze. And, they got some really interesting people there and there's a bunch of festival buyers. So it's just a good thing in general for a guy like me. I'm going to do it's kind of a mashup of a bunch of old kind of gospel-style blues. The original blues players back in the 20s and 30s, most of them learned how to play music and sing in church. And then they started playing blues, and that was a real dilemma because blues was considered devil's music. So, a lot of those guys, especially small-town dudes and dudettes, would have it was a struggle for them, and some of them go back and forth. But you might recognize bits and pieces of the lyrics here if they've been passed down throughout rock and roll and folk music and everything else, and kind of based on the music of people like Son House and Blind Willie Johnson and other such huge household names like that. Jesus gonna make my dying bed. Jesus gonna make my dying bed. Tell me who's that riding John the Revelator? Who's that riding John the Revelator? Who's that riding John John the Revelator. He wrote the book of the seven seals. Take me when I die. Well, 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 so I can die easy. Well, 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 so I can die easy. Jesus gonna make her. Jesus gonna make her. Jesus gonna make her. Yes, he is now. Lord is gonna make it up for me. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yes, he's gonna make it up for me. Oh, yeah, yeah. Woo, a little bit of that gospel blues there. Thank you. I'll do a couple more songs for you in this set and take a short break and do another set for you. I do have some CDs available during the break right over there, and even some vinyl. The new album is officially on vinyl. I've made 14 albums, my first record on actual record. The first album I made was in about 92 or 3. And they quit printing vinyl the month before my album came out, so it took me a lot of releases to get it going. But with the vinyl nowadays, I mean, it's really good. It's high quality. It's not K-Tel vinyl. It's good vinyl. And you get the digital download. But if you want to come up or you just want to get a picture taken or say hello, whatever, I'll be just loitering in that general area. And I would now also take this time to ask you, if you haven't done so already, to join my Facebook page. Oh, yes, if you like photographs of vintage guitars, quality footwear, and prime cuts of meat, gluten-free. This is the Facebook page for you. And in fact, today was all just the photos of my little journey down the old Island Highway. Not even plugging the wares, just putting the pictures up there. That was weird. I started playing a Jimi Hendrix song I'd never played before. That was weird. I think it's that weird fan thing that John's got around. John, I think I'm freaking out, man. What is that? You guys can't see it, so isn't that excellent that you can't see the thing that I'm joking about? I've been hypnotized. Cool. If there's nothing there, I'm doing well. Anyway, so I was going to do a song here off the new album. I usually just do this with the band, but I kind of feel like playing it tonight. One of the special guests we had on the new album was Kim Simmons from Savoy Brown, the leader, the founder of Savoy Brown. And you know, in the 70s, Savoy Brown, man, they were the boogie band. And I opened up a show for Savoy Brown at Harpo's back in the late 80s and got to know Kim Simmons a little bit. And we just kind of stayed in touch over the years. And when it came time for the new album, I just had a blues shuffle tune, and the guy who runs my record company suggested maybe, get in touch with Kim and see if he'd play on it. And he agreed to do it right away. And the cool thing was he nailed it. Like, with technology these days, we just send them the computer file. He goes to a little studio in his neighborhood and plays a guitar solo or two, and we plonk it on the recording. And so I sent him an email. I said, "Gee, man, that was so great. What would you like for compensation?" He said, "Well, don't worry about it." He said, I'm glad to do it. I'm flattered, but maybe you can buy me dinner sometime." And I thought, well, that's cool. I'll probably never see that guy again in my life. And then he played the Nanaimo Blues Festival summer. I'm like, shit. And I couldn't even pretend I was on the road. I was on the gig, But it was fun. Kim got me to sit in with Savoy Brown. He said, would you like to get up and play a tune? And I did. And then after the first tune, he said, "Why don't you stay up the whole set?" I said, "Great." And then he goes, here's a song that we haven't recorded yet. It's a brand new one." And I'm like, "Oh, great." Thanks, dude. But it was a boogie. But it was cool. Took Kim Simmons from Savoy Brown to the Bold Night in Nanaimo. Yeah. I don't screw around. But I got out of it pretty easy, actually, because he had just gotten over some health problems. He says, "Well, I'm not drinking right now, and I'm not really eating red meat." And I'm like, excellent. This is going to be such a cheap date. Anywho. So I'll try an acoustic version of the song. I'm counting it into myself. That's ridiculous. "Are you fooling with me, baby, or have I just been fooling myself? Are you fooling with me, baby, or have I just been fooling myself? If you're gonna change your mind, don't I go and find someone else? Love, we were together for so long, but then we had to part. We were together for so long, darling, then we had to part. If you're gonna change your mind, baby, please don't break my heart. The time you didn't want nobody but me. Yes, now once there was a time you didn't want nobody but me. If you're gonna change your mind, mama, please just let me be. Let me be, baby. With me, baby, have I just been fooling myself? Lord, you're gonna change your mind, Lord, I'll go and find someone else. If you're gonna change your mind, Lord, I'll go and find someone else. Yes, if you're gonna change your mind, Lord, I'll go and find someone else. A little bit of blues for you there. Thank you so much. Yeah. So crazy, you know. I still feel like I'm the same dude when I was 16 years old going out and doing gigs. And it's funny because I broke the whammy bar on my main Stratocaster guitar. Recently I was out on the road, so I'm having a hard time finding the replacement part. So I was at home the other day, and it was my first Stratocaster guitar. I was sitting in one of the rooms and went, man, I don't think I've even done a gig with that guitar since like the early 90s. I got it when I was 14 years old, so that's over 10 years ago. But I got it cleaned up, put strings on it, played it last night for the first time. It was funny just feeling that guitar. Wow, yeah, brings back a lot of memories. But, I just think I'm that same guy, you know? But then you go to dye your sideburns and all that shit. And even last night at Quadra Island, there's a woman came up to me. She looked a nice, I don't want to say older woman, but, a nice middle-aged woman. I used to dance to your music all the time at Harpo's, back when you'd play with your band, The Persuaders. And you look and you realize, why is everybody getting older except me? Not true. But we're still here, right? Yeah, that's the cool thing. Because that was the other thing. I stopped today at the Highwayman Saloon in Union Bay. And they're getting bands in there, and they're doing little jams. So they wanted me to come down and talk to the fellas and get an opinion on this PA system they had. And I sat down with the guy there. Goes, I remember seeing you when you first started playing in the Nanaimo, and we started we were talking about all the guys that we used to play with. They're all gone. They're all gone. It's one of those sad things. That's the worst thing. The musicians. That's not a long shelf life, really. But some of the blues guys, hang in, and so. I'll end off my set here, and I'll tell a little story. Al Pacino told me not to name drop, but I was talking to B.B. King one time. And, actually, I've been so lucky, and that's why I was talking about Harpo's and those places where I used to play as a young man. We were so lucky, man. We got to, open up shows for Albert Collins and Coco Taylor and Buddy Guy. I got to be Bo Diddley's guitar player one night, Junior Wells, all these amazing people. And I've toured with Johnny Winter in the 80s, the 90s, and the teens, but the biggest thing has got to be B.B. King. I mean, 3 different times in my career I got to open up for B.B. King. One time I even got to play on stage with him in Montreux, Switzerland, and that was just that's a whole other story unto itself. But the last time I saw B.B. King, I opened for him back home in Nanaimo. It was at the Port Theatre, and it was one of these shows they had at the Port Theatre where they didn't even announce it. There wasn't a poster put out or anything. It was just B.B. King's coming to Nanaimo. And it was just, the word got out to their season ticket holders and members and all that stuff. And I was lucky enough to get the opening slot. And it was amazing because, I'd done that gig before, but to do it at that point, it was he passed away less than a year after that show. But, to have, my grandparents were there, and my parents were there, and my sisters were there, and my son was there, and my wife was there, and my girlfriend was there, and, just made it that much more special. But the cool thing was, I had a couple conversations with B.B. King before, but this time it was, I kind of got the feeling he knew that the end was coming. He was 89 years old. I mean, I guess so, but he was just so into meeting people, and he was very kind to my son and talked to him. And my son plays drums, and my big joke is I was always hoping he'd be a musician, but he's a drummer. But I know. But B.B. King says, "You play drums?" He goes, "Yeah." And this is the cool thing. B.B. didn't just say, "Oh, you should play drums for me sometime." B.B. said, "Well, if you practice really hard, maybe next time I'm in town, you could play drums with me." And that's fantastic. My kid's 14 at the time there. But at the end of the night, they had to take him away, and he had to leave the theater in a wheelchair, and I just kind of knew that we'd be probably the last time I'd see B.B. King. But before he left, he asked for one of my CDs, so I gave him a CD, and he said, "You got to sign it for me, dude." So I'll never forget signing to B.B. King. Good luck with your music, David. So you kind of like that, but. But when we did talk about music, we talked about a guy named Booker White, because I'd actually just been down, just before I opened for BB, like a couple of months before that, I'd been down in Mississippi and in Memphis. I actually went to the BB King Museum in Indianola, Mississippi, but I asked him about a guy named Booker White. Booker White was a cousin of BB King, so when BB first moved from Mississippi up to Memphis, his cousin Booker White hooked him up with the music scene and also got him a straight job, just to make some money while he was getting established. But Booker White made a bunch of old 78s, 78 recordings back in the 30s, and got rediscovered, I believe, like kind of the mid-60s. He'd kind of been retired, and I think he'd done some time as well. But the last part of his life, he got to play like a bunch of the folk festivals and blues festivals, doing what he did best, playing an old national guitar, very similar to this one here. So I'm going to end off this set with a Booker White number. This one's called the Aberdeen, Mississippi Blues.
Well, I stopped in on Aberdeen on my way to New Ryland. Well, I stopped in on Aberdeen on my way to New Ryland. Those Aberdeen women sit there by my gasoline. Hey, me around. Well, now Aberdeen's my home child. Those men don't want me around. Afraid I'll take their women, take them out of town. Hey, now look over yonder, baby, where we used to live. And look on yonder child where we used to live. Don't you know, kiss me, baby, we can't live there no more. Somebody knocking on my door. Well, now hush, baby, hush, shout somebody knock my door. Probably be my baby telling me she don't want me no more.
There we go, the Aberdeen, Mississippi Blues. Thank you so much, folks. I'll take a short break. Like I said, I got CDs over there, including My Christmas with the Blues. So if you're looking for a Christmas gift, it's past Remembrance Day. I'm allowed to advertise it. Smoke them if you got them, folks. I know John does. And I'll be right back. Hey, how you doing? A hippie. There's a hippie there. Well, you know what? I just started.
I didn't know what how I was supposed to accept that, right? But anyway, our friendship goes back 25 years from when I remember booking him over at the Brigantine Inn, and little Damien was playing the first time. That was the Persuaders days, and all of those years, been able to watch his career, and he blows me away, and I really appreciate when he does the acoustic set, and I'm glad you do too. Let's get him back on stage again for a second set. David Gogo.
A stroke indeed. Yeah, no kidding. Come on, John. So this guitar is called a national guitar, and this particular one is made out of brass, nickel-plated, and it's what's known as a resonator guitar, because in the days before rock and roll and amplifiers, it had a built-in speaker right here, this circular thing. It's a resonator, so that projects the sound. Makes these guitars a lot louder than a regular wood body guitar. And they were first made for Hawaiian guitar players who would play slide guitar and stuff. And in fact, this guitar, it's kind of hard to see, but on the back there's a whole Hawaiian scene here that's kind of sandblasted on, but it's been worn out over the years. But you can see there's the palm tree and volcanoes, and way down here is the little man in the boat, which took me years to find. But thank you. But the Hawaiian guitar players played them, and but a lot of the blues guys got into them in the 20s and 30s because of the volume of the guitar. So these guys were playing in juke joints and street corners, and this thing was just so loud. And when I play this guitar, I tune it to an open chord, and I play what's called slide guitar. So on my pinky finger, I have an authentic Hornby Island wine bottle neck that's been carefully sawed off, and you slip it on the finger, and you slide it up and down. And then the other guitar is that's an ancient Gibson guitar. This one is built somewhere in the late teens, early 20s of the last century, and the sticker inside actually says the Gibson Mandolin and Guitar Company, Kalamazoo, Michigan. So I guess they were moving more mandolins than guitars back then. But this is a really special guitar because it was a real like a budget model. They didn't even put the logo on, or they didn't have any kind of a fancy paint job. It was like the cheapest guitar they could make. And in fact, I heard it was actually issued to military back in the day. But it was just something, but it was built so well and it plays so great. But anyway, so that's like, this guitar is probably almost 100 years old. This one's getting close too. But I'm just hoping one day I can become successful enough that I can afford new guitars. We'll see. Maybe a red one. That'd be nice. Yeah. Anywho, here's a song I recorded for my acoustic album. It's an old Tony Joe White number. Tony Joe White wrote a bunch of tunes like Poke Salad Annie, and kind of cool. He's still rocking. But I first heard this song on a Rory Gallagher album when I was a kid. I was about 14 years old. All my friends were grooving to Flock of Seagulls and other such wonderful orchestras like that. And I had my little wispy sideburns, listening to Rory Gallagher. It's called As the Crow Flies.
As a crow flies, baby, well, I ain't so far from you. As a crow flies, baby, ain't so far from you. Well, since I don't have wings, I can't get home as fast as I want to. No. Well, you don't know, baby, how I miss your sweet caress. Yeah, you don't know, baby, how I miss your caress. It's when I'm in your loving arms, when I feel at my very, very best now. Yeah. dream last night. Dreamt you called my name. Well, I took that as an omen. Lord, I jumped on a very fast freight train. Yeah.
Song that I wrote. Actually, this was another Nashville story, but that was a good 10 years ago. I was down there, and there's a guy named Gary Nicholson. I was trying to hook up with Gary last time I was there. Gary's a cool dude, man. Like I was hanging out at his house, and I didn't really know a lot about him back then. I certainly do now. But I was staying with a friend of mine who was a songwriter, and he had a beautiful heritage house that he had been renovating, and I got to stay with him at the time. And he goes, "What are you doing today?" I said, "Well, I'm going to write with some guy, Gary Nicholson." He goes, "Gary Nicholson, what?" So looked him up, and yeah, it ends up he had written a bunch of crazy heavy songs for many different people, but he was just a cool guy. And I remember though, he because I've been doing this for a long time, and my dad, I remember when I was about 10 years old, I was with my dad, and my dad had just started his sawmill business. He had this little tiny kind of like a one-man operation sawmill. It's called a Mighty Mite. And he was showing it to me, and he looks at me. I'm kind of like looking at some rocks or something. He goes, "This doesn't interest you, does it?" I said, "No," because I was 10 years old. And you just tell it like it is. And he goes, "Well, you're pretty good at that guitar." He goes, if you can make a living at something that you like, that's a good thing." And my dad said, "So if you keep playing that guitar really good," he goes, "maybe one day you can meet Guy Lafleur." And I was 10 years old, and I was like, "Holy shit, really?" But the problem was I met Guy Lafleur when I was like 20, and then I kind of gave up, I figured I'd accomplished everything a man had to accomplish. Anyway, so when I was at Gary Nicholson's place, I kind of thought, you know, like, okay, this guy's written some heavy tunes. But in his music room, I look and I look and there's a picture of him with B.B. King. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I know B.B. King. But, and then we're playing some more and have some tea and we're coming up with some ideas. And then I look and there's a picture of him with Ringo Starr. And I think, wow, I mean, not the best Beatle, but a Beatle. That's pretty cool. And then I start noticing there's a few Grammy awards tucked away here and there. But finally, at the end of the session, we'd pretty much written our song. I call it catching a fish. You know, if you can get together with someone in an afternoon and come up with a good 3/4 of a song, you caught a fish, man. But anyway, so Gary's making some more tea, and then I look up and there's a picture on the wall, and I go, Gary, is that a picture of you with Fidel Castro? And he said, yeah. And they had gone down on some weird, crazy songwriting symposium, you know, him and Bonnie Raitt and some people, and went down to Cuba, and Fidel showed up and really dug what they're doing and invited him back to his place, and they had lobster, and I thought, okay, I'm officially impressed. That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. This next tune. This one's called All I Can Do.
Mama said, don't do it. Daddy said, don't do it. Friend said, don't do it. All I can do is think about you. The preacher said, don't do it. Teacher said, don't do it. My doctor said, don't do it. Well, all I can do is think about you. Well, once you overtook my mind, my own thoughts have been a waste of time. I said, forget you, Lord, I tried and I tried, but you just won't leave me alone. No, you just won't leave me alone. No, no, no. Once you overtook my mind, my own thoughts have been a waste of time. Then I said, forget you, Lord, I tried and I tried, but you just won't leave me alone. No, you just won't leave me alone. No, no, no. Try to sleep, can't do it. Try to read, can't do it. I need to eat, but I can't do it. Well, all I can do is think about you. Yes, think about you. I tried and I tried, but I can't do it. Tried and I tried. Yes, think about you.
All I can do, baby. Okay. Where did that other thing go? Oh, my little capo. Oh, mic stand. Thank you very much. I knew I put it somewhere. Yeah, I was born and raised on Vancouver Island, and I'm digging it. I reside on the Gogo family compound, and been there since 1897. Not me personally, but the family. Which is not probably, it's not a long time if you're from Egypt or something, but for Vancouver Island, it's a pretty long time. And when it came time for that Christmas album, someone said, "You make a Christmas album." I thought, I live on a Christmas tree farm. Yeah, I should make a Christmas album. But when I was a kid, my dad was a logger, Jippo logger, around Vancouver Island and Gulf Islands and stuff. And that was a crazy activity in the 70s. That was some sport logging back then. And as I mentioned before, and now my dad has a sawmill, and we got the Christmas tree farm. But before that, coal mining, that was the big thing. That's what brought a lot of people to the island. And when my son was first born, he's 17 now, I can't believe it, but when he was first born, I was at a point in my career where I was kind of open for suggestions, shall we say. But I was living in the thriving metropolis of South Wellington, just south of Nanaimo. And it's one of these funny little hamlets that, 100 years ago or even more, these were rootin' tootin' coal mining towns. There were, 20 hotels and saloons, and people from all over the world had moved there to work in these mines that were extremely dangerous. So these guys worked hard and they partied hard, and it's funny now when you go to some of these places like South Wellington or Cassidy and Extension, great names, but you'd hardly know it. But even when I was a kid in the 70s, there was still these big, huge coal slack piles. Like, there was black everywhere. It's kind of grown over now. And you might, if you're walking on a farmer's field or something, you might see some huge, big concrete structure that at one point was part of a railway or a tram system for the mines. But fascinating history. And especially in South Wellington. So I was reading this book called Boss Whistle, written by a woman named Lynn Bowen, and it's all about the history of the coal mining on Vancouver Island. And I read about this incident that happened in 1915, very, very close to where I lived. It was just kind of across the highway from where I lived. And 19 men were drowned that day. I'll call it an incident, not an accident, because what was going on was they were working in a new mine in between these old seams. And of course, on Vancouver Island, once you quit working a coal seam or a coal mine, they fill with water right away. So these guys were kind of in between a couple, and they were told, keep going, keep going, keep going. And they thought, we're getting too close to where those other places are. But you had to keep going. There's no unions in those days, and you did what you were told. And if you didn't, you were not only fired, but you were blacklisted, and you were just you're not going to get any work. So these poor fellas kept going. And eventually the inevitable happened, and they hit one of the old seams, and 19 fellas. Crazy. And so I was thinking about this, like wow, I mean, in this day and age, 19 people dying in some kind of an accident like that, I mean, that would be a hell of a thing. But especially back then, these new communities, and then so I started working on a song, and then the strangest thing happened. I went down to the Nanaimo archives because I wanted to get my facts straight if I was going to write a song about this. But they had a list of all the people that were killed, and I had no idea. But my great-grandfather was one of the guys that perished that day. Now, I knew he was killed in a mine, but I was always told it was a completely different area and a completely different situation. But it's one of those things as a songwriter where sometimes you just got to have the, you have to have the antenna going, and you pick up on these things. But in the book Boss Whistle, they talk about this, so this is a seriously deep mine, and so it took them a couple months to pump all the water out and recover these poor fellows. And in the recollection of one of the, I think it was a nephew of one of the miners there that Lynn had interviewed in the late 60s, he recalled that when they were recovering these fellows, that one of the miners they found way down in the mine, and I guess he had one arm wrapped around a timber in the mine, and in the other arm he was holding his teenage son who was working on the same shift, because he must have found just a temporary air pocket, and he just grabbed, and I was a new dad at the time, and it was just so strange, especially with the family connection and everything. So I wrote this next tune from my acoustic album. This one's called She's Breaking Through. One less. Go down here. There we go. That'll be easier.
Well, the water flows from the north end of the valley and clean on down to Alexandria Mine. We stop between there and the Southfield. I think we're digging on borrowed time. Well, there's flooding in the old chest all around us, and I can smell that swamp water leaking through. But you can't complain to the boss man. You get on the blacklist, then what you gonna do? Dunsmere wouldn't show us his old maps, so we got some from Western Fuel. They said everything is fine, you're 200 yards from the line, but they didn't check the scale that was used. She's breaking through, boys, she's breaking through, and there's nothing we can't do. No more will you see the sunshine. She's breaking through, boys, she's breaking through, and there's nothing we can't do. So come hold me, son, one more time. Early spring morning on the day shift, when we blasted through the old Southfield mine. With 19 men, they wouldn't come up again until the early summer sunshine. 'Cause nothing can stop the pressure of the water. It rose 500 feet on a slope. It smashed through the timbers, it tore off the rails. There wasn't even time for giving up hope. She's breaking through, boys, she's breaking through, and there's nothing we can't do. No more will you see the sunshine. She's breaking through, boys, she's breaking through, and there's nothing we can't do. Come hold me, son, one more time. Yes, come hold me, son, one more time.
Yeah. Well, that's some depressing shit. Let me cheer you up with my blues. Hi, Georgia. How are you? Hey there, Georgia girl, making popcorn like a mother. Yeah, I'll cheer you up with my blues here. What am I gonna do? It's either gonna be a Buddy Guy song or a John Lee Hooker song. Depends which lyrics I start with. We'll see.
I said, ooh, wee, baby, Lord, I declare you sure look fine. Yes, now, ooh, wee, baby, Lord, I declare you sure look fine. Lord, I know a fine girl like you would just love to make me change my mind. Yes, now, woman, when you walk, you know you shake just like a willow tree. Yes, now, woman, when you walk, you know you shake just like a willow tree. Yes, I know a fine girl like you would just love to make a fool out of me. Let me love you, baby. Let me love you, baby. Let me love you, mama. Let me love you, baby. Let me love you, darling. Tell y'all your good loving drive me crazy. Woman, when you walk, you know you shake just like a willow tree. Yes, now, woman, when you walk, you know you shake just like a willow tree. Yes, I know a fine girl like you would just love to make a fool out of me. tell y'all, your good loving drive me crazy.
Yes, indeed. I believe that's a Willie Dixon song, actually, but Buddy Guy did it. Not for the latest album, but for the album before that. The album's called Come On Down. I decided to go down to Memphis and through Mississippi and do kind of like a little bit of a blues journey, a little bit of a pilgrimage to kind of get inspired to write the songs. And I'd been to those places before, but never really had the chance to check it out. And it was really cool, man. Like the last time it was, well, actually, it was kind of, it's funny. It was during the last American election is when I was there. So I started off in Memphis, which is always good. Did a lot of Mississippi time. Went over to Alabama. Went to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and checked out some of the studios there, the Fame recording studios, and drove by what used to be Muscle Shoals Sound. But we actually had a tour of Fame, which is cool. Anyways, I mean, just every day was chock full of all sorts of great goodness, you know. And so we were up early in the morning and in bed late at night, just, you know, taking it all in. A lot of fortuitous timing. But one of the cool things we did was we went over the Mississippi River, went over to Helena, Arkansas. And it's one of these towns, these funny southern towns, where the downtown area, they've got these amazing, big, huge brick buildings, but they're all empty. They call them the big empties. You know, that happens a lot, I think, in these places down there where everyone's moved out to the suburbs. And so you get these downtowns, these old downtowns that are just empty, you know, but so much history. And Helena was the hometown of Sonny Boy Williamson. And so when we were down there, like, there was a guy at a blues record store, and he was walking us around, and he was saying, yeah, that place there, you know, Robert Johnson used to do gigs there, and then he would sleep up in this place, this hotel, and Sonny Boy would. So it was fascinating. But there was a fellow named Sonny Payne, and I was so happy the other day on Facebook. I saw that he's still happening because he was around 86 years old. This is 4 or 5 years ago. He was 86 at the time, but he still does every weekday. He does a radio show called the King Biscuit Flour Hour out of Helena, Arkansas. And he now broadcasts out of a cultural center right on the main drag of Helena. So I was down there with my traveling companion, and we decided we're going to check this out, and got to meet him, about half an hour before the program went on the air. And it was funny because, of course, she has to say to him, well, he's a guitar player, he's a blues guy from Canada. You know, I wouldn't have done that myself, but she did it, and I'm glad she did. So she gives him a CD. Now, but the cool thing was he didn't just say, I'm going to play it. He went in the back, he went in the back room, put some headphones on, and had a listen. Came back, goes, you sound pretty good. So he invited us to go on the air and do the whole King Biscuit Flour Hour with him. So, you know, he played a couple tunes off the top from some other artists. And then played a track off of my Soul Bender album, which was the current album at the time. And then interviewed me. And so he would just talk to me about blues and everything, and then play a couple tunes. But the funny thing was, he goes, well, now we got to hear a word from our sponsor. So he hands this ad copy to my traveling companion, and she just has to take it. And she goes, folks, when it comes to your hardware needs in downtown Helena, go to Johnson's Hardware on 4th Avenue, which luckily she had a great voice for that. But it was so down home. It was crazy. And so at the end of the show, it was great. You know, it went off the air, and I said, well, Sonny, thank you, man. Thanks for getting me on. That's fantastic. I said, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? He said, well, I'm 86 years old. And I said, you know, you remind me so much of B.B. King because you do this because you love it, and people love you doing it. And he looked at me and he said, you know, you might be right. He said, you know, and yeah, he goes, you know, yeah, you might be right. But he goes, I first met Riley in 1949. And I thought, if you refer to B.B. King as Riley, which is his real name, you've been around. So that was a cool thing, but I just saw the other day somewhere on Facebook that Sonny's still doing it, so I was glad to hear it. Man, he's 90 years old or something. But here's a song I wrote for the Come On Down album that's kind of based on just like a lot of the things that we did down there, going to Friars Point. Like I traveled to a bunch of these towns that Robert Johnson sang about, Friars Point, and I actually went down to Rosedale with my rider by my side. I did that. Had to do that. And anyways, this one's called Natchez Dog.
You're like a Natchez dog, baby. You're always grinning in my face. You're like a Natchez dog, baby. You're always grinning in my face. No, once you get just what you wanna, then you're gone without a trace. Lord, I went on down to Hirschberg's, but they would not let me in. Said I went on down to Hirschberg, but they would not let me in. What a shame, 'cause I may never pass this way again. Said there's no more church on Sunday. No damn school's been let out for good. No, there's no more church on Sunday. And school's been let out for good. I got no means to leave here, nowhere to head to if I could. To my darling, overnight I turned to black. I gave a white rose to my darling, overnight I turned to black. My woman crossed the river this morning. I got a feeling she ain't never coming back. I got a feeling she ain't never coming back.
Oh, that's the Natchez Dog. Thank you. I'll do a couple more tunes for you tonight. Good to see my buddy Kirk here tonight. Come on. No, because I love doing these solo shows, but I do a lot of gigs with my band. But what I do at this point is I have a band here on Vancouver Island, and I have another band in Ottawa, and I have some fellows in Holland as well. So I kind of book my tours that way, and So Kirk I know from Constance Bay, just outside of Ottawa, and those fellas have been with me for a long time. And Constance Bay is a kooky place. Oh yeah, this ain't no Ottawa. The thing I love about Constance Bay is that the local watering hole is a place called The Point, and this kind of sums it up. The owner of The Point is banned from his own bar. Pretty much for life, right? So I like it there. But what Kirk decided to do, because it's it's good 45 minutes out of Ottawa, pretty much, I guess. Yeah. So the way things are these days, going to get some entertainment, go all the way to Ottawa, I mean, that's a big commitment. So Kirk decided to start bringing some blues to Constance Bay, and I was lucky enough to be involved in a couple of those shows. And he brought John Mayall to Constance Bay. He brought Savoy Brown to Constance Bay. He brought Johnny Winter to Constance Bay. That was So I was lucky enough to open up for the Mayall show and the Johnny Winter show, and Kirk also brought a bunch of Canadian acts up as well. But so I'll do a Johnny Winter tune, because that was a hoot, man. Because I had a long relationship with Johnny, and I know that Johnny's pretty much your favorite dude, right? Your favorite blues man. Yeah. So it was so cool to have him playing at the rec center there in Constance Bay. And I was so lucky, man, to get to play with Johnny, because he was like, I'll be in the middle of a gig sometimes just playing some guitar and realize, wow, I'm playing these Johnny Winter licks. Like, you're not always conscious of what's seeping in, but it was such a thrill. And the last tour I did with Johnny Winter was I did 13 shows in Western Canada opening for him, just doing what I'm doing tonight, doing the solo thing. But that was a lot of, hanging out hanging out at the Winnebago in the parking lot in Brandon, Manitoba, that kind of stuff. And you get to know a guy. Johnny was a crazy dude. But here's a song of his I recorded from my Bare Bones album. This one's called Dallas.
Going down to Dallas, tipping my razor and my gun. Going down to Dallas, tipping my razor and my gun. Y'all looking for trouble? Well, I'm sure gonna give you some. Fun with so much shit in Texas, baby. I'm bound to step in some. I'm going down to Dallas. Send me my razor and my gun. Y'all looking for trouble? Well, I'm sure gonna give you some. On my revolver, sharpen at my knife. Some redneck mess me with their boys. I'm bound to end his life. I'm going down to Dallas, trim me my razor and my gun. Y'all looking for trouble?
that, Dallas. Thank you. Okay, I'll do one more here, and then you're free to go. And yeah, once again, thanks a lot for coming down here, and I appreciate Longevity John for keeping this thing going. Keep it on. And at the end of the night, if you're interested in CDs, you can talk to me. You can talk to me about vinyl albums. Got the Christmas album. Christmas album, by the way, has David Vest playing piano on about 5 or 6 tunes, and Sean Hall from the Harpoonist and the Axe Murderer, and musical genius Phil Dwyer playing some saxophone and piano. Not at the same time, even though he's a genius. He probably could if he wanted to. But, the hell? Keep hitting that. There we go, yeah. This thing was in tune when I bought it. Okay, I'll end off my evening here. I'll do a song, another one off my acoustic album. This one's called It's Killing Me.
Lord, you came to see me like I said you would. Maybe 2 things to know I could. Sure to make this old man feel good, dear Lord. Sure to make this old man feel good. Well, now what a time we had in Montreal. We drank champagne and had a ball. Don't set myself up for a fall, dear Lord. Sure now set myself up for a fall. Baby, please don't leave. It's killing me. Baby, please, please don't leave. It's killing me. Well, now what a sight it is to see when you turn your head and you smile at me. Those big blue eyes I shone out drowning me, dear Lord. Big blue eyes I shone out drowning me. When I climb up beside me on the bed and I place a kiss on your pretty head, those things you do could shall not raise the dead, dear Lord. Things you do could shall not raise the dead. Baby, please don't leave. It's killing me. Baby, please, please don't leave. It's killing me. Shoulders sleep on the train and won't belong to your heart to Spain. I may never see you again, dear Lord. I may never see you again. Well, baby, please don't leave. It's killing me. Baby, please, please don't leave. It's killing me. Baby, please, please don't leave. It's killing me. It's killing me.
Thanks so much, folks, for coming down. Sure appreciate it, and so groovy to be here. And get home safe. Thank you so much.